I'll give a quick rundown of the event. So basically, you know, we've been putting out trivia content, NFL trivia content on YouTube and TikTok for a year and a half, maybe now. And I decided like, hey, I want to take this live. I want to take it in person. I want to put on for the fans and put something together that I really haven't seen done, at least in the way that I'm imagining it being done. So basically, we rented out a bar for a day out here in New York City. We've sold, we put 100 tickets on sale. We've sold like 85 at this point. So I think by the time Saturday rolls around, we'll probably be in the 90 to 95% range. So close to sold out. So it should be a relatively packed venue between all the contestants and stuff. And it's a tournament between 5 creators / brands that are coming together. So it's us, it's you guys, Underdog, Fantasy Life, and Nerd Sesh. And it'll just be like a fun day-long thing where they're competing in trivia, very similar to our content. And then afterwards, you know, the audience members and the fans that bought tickets to come out and are probably our biggest fans, or at least the ones in the area, will get to kind of just like hang out with us and meet us and all that kind of stuff. So it's a full day event with obviously a lot of moving parts. Really excited for it. Something I've been working on for quite a while, and it's coming up in 2 days. So, you know, I'm not finished with everything yet, but I feel like we're starting to dial in.
So I think the way to cover this, as a business person, I'm actually really intrigued by like how you thought through pricing, how you thought through actually the technical stuff and the technology at the venue, but I don't know how helpful that would be to the audience. I think we should talk about essentially how you transform content into an actual product, event, sale of something. I think that's the more fascinating route here. So you're creating trivia content. You have this vision to blow it up. Number one, you have to make the content entertaining and engaging to the point where when people come and sit on this couch, they want to be playing just to have fun themselves. So that, in my opinion, is how you attract teams like us, teams like Underdog, teams like Nerd Sesh, because they would just compete in this to begin with, right? Yeah. And then talk me through how you can transfer and also promote through your content as well.
Yeah, I think whenever you are making a product or service, it should realistically come from one of two places. It should come inherently from something that you think is great and will be really valuable. So sometimes you just have this like inner, you know, voice kind of eating at you being like, this is it. Like, this is it. You don't really have a lot of logic or reasoning or numbers behind it, but subconsciously you've probably built that up over the years. So you have a product or service in your mind that I'm like, I bet if I put this out into the market, like people would love it. Sometimes you're wrong on that. Like I put out products like that where they are completely off just because timing, whatever the case may be. The second thing is, this is like, I consume a lot of content from Alex Hormozy, and a lot of the video content that he makes will start off via tweets. So his Twitter is a great follow. It's just like a stream of conscious business thoughts, right? And he'll tweet stuff out, and based on the stuff that gets the most engagement and interaction, he'll turn that into video form. And I don't see that as too dissimilar from what you should be doing for products or services. So that is kind of how I was looking at this, you know, event in its own right. So I've looked at products from like an inner sense of like, oh, this feels like the right thing to do. And then I've looked at it from the audience, I think would love this if we kind of put it together. And I've done a few live events before that have been successful. I know like those are things that really, really drive me. At this point, I've done enough of them. I would say I've done like between 5 and 7, which is a good amount. They don't do much for us, actually. I would almost say they are, I don't have numbers behind it. Like long run, maybe the people that come and meet us and participate in this are like our diehard fans. But I would almost say that the net of it all is probably super negative, just because this has taken up so much mental capacity of mine.
ROI.
Yeah, ROI is terrible on this. We make no money off of it. I spend so much time and energy thinking about it and preparing for it.
And it's 100 people.
It's 100 people.
If you posted a TikTok, you get 200 views guaranteed.
Dude, and the crazy part about this too is like we've done the draft weekend every summer, right? And then people always, I've had this conversation so many times. We're like, how do you scale this? What's the next move? And I've realized this very recently that I get into that conversation and I always try to plan like, what's the next thing? And then when I start to dial in on like what I want, I never actually want to scale it. I'm like, I'm fine just doing this weekend.
This is a major conversation.
Yeah, dude, like, because in my mind, my immediate answer is like, we can do multiple cities or we could do multiple weekends where someone else takes it over and like starts to, you know, be the person that organizes everything. But then every time I think about that, like I get stressed and I'm just like, I don't want to do that. Like I love the weekend for what it is and it doesn't need to be more than that. So I'm thinking about the trivia event, and in my mind, this first one, I'm like, all right, I'm like, can we scale up the next one? I'm like, I don't know that I even want to do that. Like, this could just be a really fun day, can turn into content. It is what it is. It could be something we look back on in a few years, be like, that was really fun. Like, and that's all it was for it. And these in-person events, for me, again, I think the biggest ROI is that they're just fucking fun. Like, they're really, really fun. And I get to enjoy that day with, you know, my team, you guys, you know, and we're obviously very close to the guys from Underdog and Fantasy Life and Pete and like the Nerd Touch guys. And then all the fans coming in, like you guys will get to meet, you know, all of our biggest fans. And I'm sure that will like kind of soiree into them becoming fans of all of you guys. So for me, again, business ROI, definitely not there, but just like on a personal level, it's some of the most satisfying things that you could do. So keep that in mind. Live events, if you have a larger audience, extremely difficult to pull off unless you have really, really large scale. Like, as you said, we're throwing around numbers. We're going to sell 90 tickets. We have a TikTok audience of 650,000 people. We have multiple YouTube channels with 50,000 plus subscribers. It's very difficult to really sell tickets, pack out places. Obviously, putting a paywall behind it makes it more difficult, but that's kind of where my mindset is with everything.
So I got two, and they'll probably be long-winded, so strap in. Number one, the feeling that you cannot scale these micro events or micro actions is accurate in a way, but it's also a silly thought. And what I mean by that is we built Snapback, the first 10,000 fans, we would just post Snapchat stories, and I would reply to every single fan. And okay, so if I sent 100 messages a day, I'm still only getting to 36,000 people, you know, in a year. And when you're talking about following, you need millions and millions to build business and all this stuff. But like, because I responded to those people 6 years ago, they've followed ever since. Yeah. And I think when you think you can't scale small stuff, that's because people, a lot of the time, they don't have that long-term vision. And you said it, and you knew it subconsciously. It's like, yeah, next year, maybe we do a 200-person event. But those 100 people, if this business exists in 10 years, they will be there in 10 years. Yeah. And so it does start to add up, word of mouth, etc. Yeah,
and it's not that I don't think we can. It's just like, at the end of the day, my business, your business, is a reflection and an expression of who you are. And if I don't want to make it bigger than this, then I don't have to.
Well, that was part two, which is we've hired 5 people over the last 6 months. We've doubled our team. We're growing, which we're very excited about. Every step along the way, and right now that we've ended our hiring freeze and we kind of have this, you know, multi-year vision, I balance, and it's unique for us because we don't have shareholders. We actually do not need to scale. Like, there is nothing that says you need to scale. And a lot of the times I like to remind myself, like, as long as we're creating awesome content that I'm having fun enjoying and doing, like, yeah, maybe if we don't scale, maybe it'll run out one day.
Dude,
but like, we don't have to, like, why do I have to grow bigger?
No. Dude, I was having this conversation with someone like 2 days ago. It's someone I just recently met, and they're successful in like the tech space, and they run their own business, and their business is revolving around media, creating content, and then consulting. So because of their content, they get called into very large scale businesses to like talk to the team about the future of tech and things like that. And I was curious. I was like, you know, what's your team look like underneath you? And she was like, I have a publicist, I have a content, you know, post-production producer, and then I have an assistant. And as she's scaling, I'm thinking to myself, like, why do you scale your business? Like, what is the purpose of scaling that business, or what are you trying to accomplish? She's like, I want to get in front of more businesses. And I'm like, most of that can just be accomplished by making more content. You don't need to scale a team behind it. Because I started thinking, like, I don't really want to scale for the sake of scaling either. And I was like, I think the only reason I want to build a team around is because I would just rather do this around people. Like, it gets fucking lonely and boring if you're not around people that are also passionate about the same thing. So I think like scaling is going to be one of the most forefront conversations, I think, over the next 10, 15 years of like creator-led businesses and just businesses in general, because I think we'll see the pendulum swing where everyone was like, scale, scale, scale. We'll hear a lot of people that are like, no, you should not scale, build a team of 1 or 2, and then it'll kind of like meet in the middle somewhere. But I think it's a real conversation to have about people getting kind of overwhelmed, like, okay, we need scale, we need a producer, we need a designer, we need an editor, we need more creators, we need all this kind of stuff. And I would say what I've learned is we're at a point now where we have a lot of like versatility on our team, a lot of guys that can do a lot of things. I don't think we'll bring on another person on our team, and I don't want to like hold this as a hard truth, but I don't think we'll bring on another person on a team unless they are filling a extremely specific skill, talent, or role, which couldn't have been different from what we've done up to this point. But that has been a hiring mistake for us. And I think you'll probably learn that within the next like year or so, because you guys have just brought on a lot of new team members. And when you do that, it's like if you don't have extremely clear defined roles of what they're doing, things can get confusing and messy very, very quickly.
Yeah, we had a family business growing up, and it was all centered around the Baltimore market. And I was always like, why not Philly? Why not New York? Like, why don't we expand? And, you know, they would probably make fun of me now that I'm saying this, but they're happy with the market. And I'm sure there's some local pizza shops that, you know, big business, venture capital, they want to scale. But a lot of the times you then solve for the wrong thing. You're just trying to build bigger and have an exit instead of building a genuine, true business. So we say all of that to just kind of remind people, got to be in it because you love it. I think we'll talk about Maze's tweet in a bit here. But, yeah, it's a good reminder. Like, if you're not going to get into the content because you actually enjoy doing it, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Like, just don't do it. Or do it, but like, you're just going to be miserable creating that content because you're going to burn out because nothing's going to happen overnight.